This is Wild About Utah.
If you've listened to these Wild About Utah segments for a while, you'll have noticed that our stories tend to focus on places where humans don't live. But what we call nature can flourish almost anywhere, including the places where people dominate. I'm an avid runner and walker, and my town has done a lot of street and sidewalk work this year. So I've spent a lot of time looking down to make sure I don't suddenly trip or step in a hole. Earlier this year, I was looking down while walking to my office, and I was amazed by how many ant colonies I was seeing on the sidewalks. Each colony included hundreds of tiny ants, milling around in what looked like random patterns. Some blocks had an ant swarm every 20 to 30 feet. I'd seen them before, of course, but hadn't realized just how ubiquitous they are. Being a scientist, and therefore endlessly curious, I began to wonder, what are these ants doing when they swarm? And how do they all know to do it at the same time? The particular species of ant that I was seeing, and I'm sure most of us have seen them at one time or another, is called the immigrant pavement ant. In some places, they're also called sugar ants, thanks to their nasty habit of sneaking into people's kitchens to find sweet things to eat. They're tiny, 2.5 to 4 millimeters long, shorter than a grain of rice. Originally native to Europe, some of them probably stowed away on a ship to America in colonial times. Now they're widespread across the continent. As I watched closely, I realized that the ants' movements weren't entirely random. They would approach another ant, stop for a half second, then move on. That's because one purpose of swarming is colony expansion. They wander around checking each other out. If an interloper from another colony enters the swarm and is recognized as a stranger, it will be attacked. Sometimes hundreds of ants can die in battles between neighboring colonies. The other thing that happens when they're swarming is mating. Some of the ants develop wings and take nuptial flights, when males and queens from different colonies take to the air and mate. They like to do this on clear, warm surfaces when the days are long and hot sunlight has warmed the soil for a while. If each colony responds to the same environmental cue, it means there is a huge pool of prospective mates, which increases genetic diversity and colony success. After mating, the males die, and the queens, which are about twice as big as the other ants, fly off to start new colonies. Worker ants from nearby colonies will collect and remove the dead ants quickly. This helps prevent predators from being able to locate the colonies, which spend most of their time in nests beneath flat stones or similar hard spaces, such as sidewalks. Within a week after the swarms appear, they're gone. Pavement ants can be a nuisance if they get into your pantry, but when they're swarming safely out on the sidewalk, they're just a fascinating part of nature, one that most of us can observe without going more than a block or two from home. I'm Mark Brunson, and I'm wild about Utah's natural creatures, wherever they're found.